Hey guys, so we've heard all the time that quick match makes you learn bad habits, and it's very true because quick match can put you in team comps that are not great to play with. Can put you in team comps that you learn bad habits from, and we've all talked about this for a long time. And whenever people ask what is a great mode to learn in, most of the time people will respond with Hero League, and I agree. I think Hero League's one of the best ways to improve simply because you are playing against people who are actually trying their best, or should be anyways, and you're playing with people around your rank, and the more you improve, the more difficult players you're playing against. So you're naturally going to keep improving or stay the same. So Hero League is a great way, excuse the cough, the Hero League is a great way to learn the game. But why do I say that it could be making you worse at the game? That's why I want to share a little bit of a thing that I've noticed when I was coaching people in Hero League games particularly. What I found was in Hero League games, people would not take any risks. And I thought that was interesting. And I said, oh, well, why didn't you try to do this? And he goes, I just don't think it was really worth the risk. Like I was worried that I was going to die there. Or I was worried that this was going to happen. Or I was worried about this. And I was like, that seems really strange. Like, if you don't try that, you're never going to learn to see if it works or if it doesn't work. So you have to at least try it out. And a lot of people just played really, really safe in Hero League games and never got anything done or accomplished on their end because they were always too afraid that something bad might happen. But then I played with them in unranked and they're like just running and dying, 7-8 deaths, and they're like, oh, well, it's unranked, it doesn't matter if I make a mistake. But they were also making more plays that led to us doing something. And I thought, you guys are effectively doing worse in Hero League because you're too afraid of losing ranked points, which are just points that don't really matter that much. So they're not ever learning anything against players around their skill level, and they might learn something in unranked, but they're playing too safe because unranked doesn't really matter. So that's one of the big things that I wanted to explain was that mentality of, well, we got to play safe because it's ranked and it means something, is also the mentality that's stopping you from learning a lot because you're not taking the risks that would normally teach you a lot of what works and what doesn't work. That's a big reason why, and I'll keep this video pretty short, but that's a big reason why I personally think that Hero League is making us worse at this game because no one wants to take risks anymore. And you'll see that a lot of pro players will take a ton of risks in Hero League when streaming, and it's because to them, Hero League is pointless because it's just random points. That's kind of ironic. But to them, it's just there's no reason to do it because they have tournaments and that's important to them. And you'll see some pros, they might choke a little bit because they're too afraid that something might not work. So they have the same problem. They probably don't learn that well off of their actual pro games purely because they're not taking any risks. But they learn the most off of scrims, which don't matter, and they'll take a lot of risks in scrims. So I want everyone to go through and kind of start taking a little bit more risk. Stop caring about the points. Stop caring about whether you win or lose. Start actually taking risks and learning from individual things that you do whenever you're playing that character. Are you playing Morales, Lieutenant Morales, and you're always staying way too far back? Start practicing getting up there a little bit closer and see how much damage you can actually take. See how many auto attacks you can get off. See what you can actually do. Find your limitations so that when you actually find similar situations in Hero League games, you're good to go. Or in Team League or whatever mode you're in, you've practiced and you are good to go. You know what works and what doesn't because you've actually taken those risks before, and you know which ones pay off and which ones don't. This will not only make you a better player, but it's also going to make you a little bit more confident of your abilities because you're going to know what works and what doesn't work. And the confidence is what brings up the second point that I want to talk about, which is kind of a lack of confidence in your own abilities. And in psychology, we call this usually self-efficacy, and self-efficacy is directly connected to a lot of anxieties. And those are also what a lot of sports psychologists would call, if this happens to an athlete, they call it the yips. And the yips is effectively something that means you made a mistake at one point, and since that mistake, your subconscious has always been not as confident as it normally would be, and it makes it harder for you to do things from this point on. What I mean by that is you might see a baseball player who he has trouble one game, and then his next game he has a lot of trouble, and his first thought is, am I just getting worse at this game, or is there something that's causing it? And they start to second guess everything that they do, making it to where they're essentially worse at everything that they do. Because they're second guessing so many different things that they don't know what of those things is causing them to play worse. We see that a lot in Hero League as well, where people will put so much emphasis on these ranks or these rank points that when they start losing a lot of ranks or rank points, they're so uncertain at what's causing it that they just assume that they're getting worse, and they're less confident. They start playing safer, and they start making all the same mistakes that cause them to not learn from what they're doing. So all of these things together is what's causing Hero League to honestly make us a lot worse at this game. And the way that we fix this, first I would say take a break from the game for a little bit so you can just get your mind out of this lowered confidence. But two, play other game modes and take more risks. Start understanding what you can and can't do. And even in Hero League, stop caring about the rank or the points themselves and start actually focusing on just learning something every game. If you can learn something in a game, you've won. Whether you've won or lost, you personally have won because you're going to be better for it for the next game. So start taking risks, start learning for it from each of your games, win or lose, and if you learn something, you've won no matter what the points say. Thank you all for watching. If you like this style of video, feel free to comment below and subscribe. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.